Welcome everyone to
Greetings.
this virtual classroom. That's what we call it. Every now and then we do these special interviews, discussions, conversations, whatever you want to call it, with our esteemed guests, such as yourself, Raja Choudhury, who I'm a massive fan of. So let me I'm just going to give a bit of a background to who you are. I'm going to big you up a bit to our audience.
Oh man.
Yeah, so
yeah, the checks in the mail, okay? The checks in the mail, you know, like
I'll see if I can make another brown man blush. Yeah. So
the
Raja,
shine head will just get shinier. That's all. That's all, you know?
Fantastic. So Raja is actually the creator of the documentary that I love to promote to everybody, which is the SOMA, the Psychedelic Origins of Religious Experience, which it's like mandatory. Everyone has to watch that when they join our courses. And I actually got very inspired by it myself, and it made me really want to follow everything Raja's doing. And he's got some amazing courses as well, which you can go much deeper on. And he's not only is he a award-winning documentary filmmaker, he's also a spiritual teacher, very adept at some of these deep subjects like the Kundalini, Shakti, Tantra, Trika in Indian wisdom. And he really understands. What I love about Raja is the fact that he really understands it from a neuroscientific level. So the science is there. Whoever's making a lot of noise, please can you mute yourself? Everybody should mute themselves. Somebody's making a lot of rustling noise. So just keep everything muted so that I don't spoil this wonderful introduction I'm doing right now.
They're like candy paper being wrapped.
Yeah.
Some of that candy, you know.
So,
I want some of that. Right.
Well, they're still unwrapping their Christmas presents or something like that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's like anything east of Spain, and it's all 6th January onwards anyway, Christmas. So it's all good. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what I love about Raja, if you watch some of the YouTube videos, the link to YouTube videos it's got is the science that he puts to it, the neuroscience, which is really important in this day and age. If you want to reach more people, is to actually have the left brain with the right brain, which is fantastic. Which is what we're trying to do with SOMA Breath as well. So he's on the Shift Network as one of their new teachers. And he's
No, I've been there for a while now.
Oh, have you been there for a while? Okay. Cool. Well, you're a veteran of the Shift Network, which is a great platform as well. And we're going to actually open up the discussion here on like some core subjects that I really want to delve deep into is the legend of SOMA and how it links to the origins of religion itself and religious experience. And some of that will be really fascinating to discuss. And then also your perspective on Kundalini awakening, third eye activation, and what that really means, and from both a scientific and spiritual level. That'll be fantastic.
That's what it means, the dance of Shiva and Shakti right there.
That's it. So we're gonna go deep into that. I love it. We're gonna go deep into that. And then I'd love it if you could give us an actual experience of your what you do, what you teach.
Well, you want me to give you Shakti Path right now? Here you go.
Yeah, boom. One of those. Boom.
Done. Come on, bring your forehead forward and boom. Done.
There we go. Fantastic. So we have a cool little gathering already. We've got some of our master instructors who've gone through our training, who are very keen in these subjects, who I'm sure will have some extra questions we'll open up to at the end to keep the conversation going. And there we go. I think let's begin.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me. I'm a big fan of your work too. So, and I can see from the glow in all these faces here that everybody's waking up. I love it.
Yes.
And
yes.
So whatever you're doing something right. So I'm very happy to be here. You know.
Beautiful. Thank you, my friend. So let's start with the reason why I connected in the first place is the whole SOMA legend. and the story. And how did you get into this subject? What was the thing that turned you onto it all, and what led to making that documentary? And if there's any insights you can give us from the whole legend, how it links to religion itself and religious experience, that'd be beautiful. Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in Africa, so I didn't have much of an Indian religious background at all. I don't have any religion at all, actually. And so I was in London. I was doing martial arts and studying architecture and design and art. And then I messed my brain up with a whole bunch of psychedelics. And it was a profound experience. It was about 1997, 98. Before we even had access to ayahuasca and things like that, it was, I was smoked some DMT, I did LSD, I did acid, I did psilocybin. We had some good mushrooms in England. England, you can get good mushrooms, it's a good thing. And I think that the veil kind of parted for me, and I was dealing with intelligence. I was dealing with not just normal, I was taking mega doses like Terence McKenna had recommended. And so there was intelligence out there. It was something else, and this is 97, 98. And I said, if I can't figure this out without medicine, what's the use? I got to be able to do this without medicine. Medicine is sacred. It helps me connect to these states. But so when I started looking into the medicine, and the godfather for my research was Terence McKenna. And all of you know Terence McKenna's work, I hope. Yes. And I met him in London in 96, 97. I had a good times with him. It was we were, there used to be this amazing gay nightclub in London called Heaven, and we'd have all these psychedelic talks there. So it was the place to go for underground psychedelic dialogues in this space. And then we started to look at SOMA, and they just started excavating in northern Turkmenistan and places, and finding sort of Haoma and Soma centers of preparation. And the Indian system of the Rig Veda is basically 12 hymns just calling to this divine being called Soma, and then the more you look into it, the more you realize that this is an alchemical laboratory they're talking about. This is psychedelic. This is something deeper. So when you start looking at it carefully, and since most religions are founded on shamanic experience, as you would all understand, since I can see the shamanic eyes in all of you, and I see Kaula goddesses and I see shamanic eyes. So I see all the things I love to see in the world. Good Kaula goddesses here as well. Very good. I love it. And so the concept, I started doing very serious research, and I was practicing Kundalini Kriya Yoga at the time. I got deep into that, and I moved to New York. And, if you want to really experiment, London is good, but New York is better. It was good for me to research in New York. And I moved to New York, and I was a well-paid creative director doing digital media, all that stuff. But I had this parallel life of hanging out in Hell's Kitchen and alchemical kitchens and talking to people and stuff like that. And so what came out of all this research, especially with Terence's work and other work, was that there was ancient Indo-European shamanic groups existed, not just in India, in Turkey, in northern Persia, in Turkmenistan, across Gobi Desert, Tibet, right across, that were using psychedelics. And by the way, the psychedelics in each region was different. You'd get in Nepal and all, what was considered to be Soma or Shiva Shakti is Datura and cannabis, and when you go to Turkmenistan, it's ephedrine and Syrian rue. And when you go to, Eleusis, it's something else. And when you go to India, that was the lost knowledge. What was it? What was Soma, right? What was this Soma? And then something also mysterious begins to happen. And Terence McKenna argued that this stuff, especially in northern India and all, something ran out. And so people started doing serious yoga to reestablish those connections, So all this Soma breath work and all this stuff you're doing comes from scarcity of good shit, like.
You got it, man. You got
it. And so when you look at it, in India, all the Indo-Europeans love their cows, right? Right. Everybody knows this, right? We're, from Minoan Cretan civilization right through to Turkey, to India, to Persia, cow, 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 cow. Cows and bulls, right? And what grows well in cow dung is psilocybin, right? And other mushrooms.
That's why they call it good shit.
Good shit, man.
Yeah.
So what we discover, especially in these laboratories in northern Persia and northern Kashmir and other places, is that people were mixing good shit. It wasn't just good shit. It wasn't everybody was just taking psilocybin. You wanted to connect to Indra, you mixed one good shit. You wanted to connect to Vayu, you connected another good shit. You wanted to talk to the Ashwins and fly in the heavens, you take another good shit. And by the way, even gradations of Indra. He was a warrior, he was a lover, he was a magician, he was everything. I mean, so the kind of the psychedelic psychonaut, were Indra. You were the warrior. You were going to take this fearless journey. Now, there were two cults that emerged from this in India and in Nepal, Tibet, all that. One could be called the cult of the sacred feminine, right across the world, right? You see it in Katal Hayuk, you see it in Minoan civilization, the Venus of Willendorf, you see all those things, right? They also use psychedelics, Eleusinian mysteries, the Kira, so, Eleusinian mysteries of Athens, These were all sacred feminine, oracular, where the high priestesses would take this substance and develop sacred powers and initiate typically the male warrior who came to seek the knowledge, with this divine wisdom, right? And then later on, that gets crushed by priesthoods and the feminine gets crushed over time, right? And we see that in India, And it was in India that continued with what is called the cult of the Kaula or the yoginis, right? And right across from North India, right across, this yogini cult starts in Tantra, what is we call Tantra now, 2nd, 3rd, 4th century onwards. So by this time, yoga and breath practices and mantra have more or less dissolved the old shamanic medicine ways. And what you find is this fantastic flowering of Tantra and breath work and meditation and mantra and sexuality and all these things across North India, right? And so today, all this cleaned up hatha yoga we get and all this good shit is nothing but a remnant of that trail that comes down to us, But you can still go to Nepal and smoke some good datura shit with the Nepalis, man. You can do it if you wanted to, but don't do datura. Don't do datura. It will mess your brain up, right? Anybody done datura here?
Well, my Swami, in England, that's her choice. That's her medicine of choice. She has it growing in her garden, and in England it was
always popular.
She says it can kill you. It's very dangerous.
It's called the witch's brew. It is the witch's brew.
Yeah.
In England, it's called the witch's brew. And datura in India, a particular strand of datura that grows up in the mountains of Kodaikanal and those areas, not Kodaikanal, Kulu Manali. Kodaikanal is south, but Kodaikanal down south is where you get very good mushrooms still. But up north, Kulu Manali, Nepal, is where two strands grow, where we get the reference to Shiva and Shakti. Shiva is the Datura seed, and that is a seed. It's like a linga. It looks like a linga. And they crack the seed, they boil it in cow urine. See cow again. They boil it in cow urine, right, to kill its toxic chemicals. Then they smoke it with a form of cannabis called kali, right, which only grows in the Nepali and Tibetan hills, right? Big, fluffy marijuana, right? Big, beautiful marijuana. They smoke it together. And it's, if you don't do it that way, you're going to die. Right? There's a whole alchemical process that you have to know how to do. And I did it once, and it's terrifying. You are literally flying with the yoginis. You're literally, it's so. For me, the journey of the last 20 years was into Kundalini and Kriyas and how to do it myself through breath, through mantra, through breathing, through power of that inner work. And I took initiation into the Kaula tradition. I became a Sri Vidya. I'm a Sri Vidya guru now, so I can initiate. And so I do. That's what I do. I've initiated 3,000-4,000 people around the world into this. And that's what I do now, is initiate. And I study and I make films on this stuff. And it's so we're doing a new film on, first of all, how yoga and ideas come to the West. And now I'm doing, next film I'm going to do is on the sacred feminine.
Beautiful.
Why we need it back. Bad time, good time now. We need it bad.
Yes,
we
yes.
Need it bad.
So much.
We need the mother goddess to come slap some idiots around.
Fully agree, man. Fully agree.
I'm empowering all you mother goddesses, including you boys, to slap everybody awake. Wake them up. Wake them up.
Agreed. I think that's a great.
So just to round up, I think that the SOMA was a process of ritual psychedelic experiences that came down to us. And throughout time, it kept evolving and changing its chemical nature. It wasn't, and we don't have much good DMT in India. I don't know if you understand that. We don't have many good DMT vines in India, right?
Really? So DMT isn't so prevalent in the vines in India?
No, it is available in certain trees like bushes and datura plants and things like that, but in a weird concentration. So in a way, you could argue that the Amazonian shamanic experience of visionary, because DMT triggers visionary experience, the occipital lobe, it triggers visual things. So, and so when we do Kundalini work, we are finding that we think we're releasing endogenous DMT, NN-DMT, but it's not scientifically proven yet, but we're working on it. We're looking at that right now, that if I do mantra, do I release DMT and get those psychedelic states, right? Yes. So we're looking at that right now. But so when DMT releases, you get a visionary experience, right? And what happens is that in the West, we're now got two forms of DMT, right? We have the traditional NN-DMT and we have 5-MeO-DMT, which is bufo, like the magic.
But also you produce the 5-MeO when you take the elephant dung mushrooms.
So it is believed, but they still haven't, you're right. The experience is very similar to bufo. Very similar.
Yeah, because that's what we get in Thailand, and we call them the Ganeshas.
Yes, that's true. that is what Ganesh really means. So once you get the esoteric meaning of all these things, but I think that what's really exciting for me is that, and I see this with sacred medicine today, is that medicine has become less sacred now. Now it's become just millennial tourism. It's like, it's not a cool thing anymore. It used to, it is sacred. It's a sacred work, right? And now, every Tom, Dick, and Harry can be a shaman in the city and brew up some ayahuasca and off you go. It's like, it's like you're off. But I think that if we return to the sacred, what happens is that whether through ritual or kaula or through traditions or to reviving certain things, the experience becomes a storytelling experience rather than just a psychedelic one-off, boom. Yes. right? And really speaking, we're storytelling creatures. So we want to tell better stories about what we're experiencing, how we're transforming, what we're transmuting. So that's what now I think is the important thing to do, is to make it sacred again.
Correct. I love it. That's what we're trying to teach as well through and inspire.
Beautiful,
Through what
beautiful.
we're
I'm
doing.
so happy. I'm so proud of your work you're doing, man.
It's
Thank you.
amazing. So tell me, so as you said, like there was a point where things ran out potentially, and then
That's Terence McKenna's theory. That's Terence McKenna's theory.
I like that theory. I like subscribing to Terence McKenna's ideas. And at some point, there was a methodology that was created to create the soma within. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was always known. It's not something new. I think that shamans had,
they just had it. Yeah.
It was known. I think that medicine was always used as an accelerant to move you quickly into those states.
So medicine for meditation.
Medicine for sublimation.
Or sublimation. Yeah.
Because why I say sublimation, because we really need to shut down and die in order to be reborn,
Okay.
And so you're trying to bring yourself to heart rate down, your mental state down, your HRV down, your heart rate variability down, so when you do breath work, for example, you in your work, you have this rapid state of holotropic stuff that you're doing, but then you go into the bliss, which is that tranquility that kicks in.
Holding the breath, right? Yeah.
Yes, which slows down the heart rate, which brings everything down. And you go into what is called the Turiya state, right? And in that Turiya state is when the magic begins to happen.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So psychedelics take us to the Turiya state quicker.
Yes.
That's what they do. But then the visionary state is what story we're telling,
And would you say the origins of then tantric yoga are from the same sort of, that's one of the vehicles to achieving these transcendental states?
I don't think that, if you read even Patanjali, he says that one can achieve samyama by posture, by breath, and by medicine. I don't think it was ever seen as separate, right?
It's all part of the same.
That's a 20th century mindfuck, excuse my language, but that's something that happened later,
Sure.
I don't think that people saw sacred medicine and posture and breath and mantra as separate compartments. It was all seen as one way of approaching the sacred, to awakening the inner guru, the inner Shakti, Shiva in you, to go be a fearless warrior and go find it, I think that's critical. Yeah.
So what would be your your personal methodology now? Like what do you practice?
I have not done psychedelics for 18 years.
Okay.
Because I achieved through Kundalini awakening things that I could not believe, that no psychedelic could give me, So now I'm in this deep, we have a state in Kundalini Shakti work we call Madhyama, right? Which is that after all the visions, after all the sounds, after all the craziness, a tranquility and bliss comes that's unbelievable, that just your heart is just continuously exploding. The vagus nerve is kicking in all the time. You can't get depressed. You can't get low. You're always glowing like an idiot like me. You're always kind of just glowing, and that comes from breath work. The glowing comes from the breath work, but this inner tranquility and love and bliss that begins. This is what they call ananda. This true ananda begins to happen. And when that ananda hit me in 2006 in a massive way, and I had not done much medicine during those 7-8 years. I was doing a lot more breath work. And I learned to do something called Khechari. I don't know if you teach that.
Khechari, not so much, but yeah. Well, I know the method, but
So
maybe you
I
want to
can
talk about it.
I can talk about that when we do a practice. But
that'd be sweet.
Khechari releases the amrit from the pituitary and pineal gland down the back of your throat, and it releases this sweet, blissful chemical, right, that begins to pour down the back of your throat, and just, oh my God, it's this ecstatic. And when that happens, the heart explodes. And it's like you just made love to yourself for the first time, over and over and over again. And that's what it's like. It's, you know, you don't need anybody after that. You just you're
self-sufficient.
State.
Self-sufficient after that. Yeah. Nice.
And then the journey unfolds. Then you go through what is called the yoginis of the head. You start seeing a star, you go into the star, all that begins to happen. And so I teach all that. I teach how to awaken that in your body and then navigate into that deep other world that's out there, in there. That's really in you, the bliss world,
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. So why don't you share with us some of your methodology, or
you want my secrets, then you want my secrets. You want my nudge, nudge, wink, wink secrets, all right?
We want to confess all for everybody right now. Yes. You're under pressure.
Okay, so I'm going to teach you a quick hack, all right? Because all of you are serious breath work masters, so I don't need to teach you breathing, right? I'm not going to teach you breathing. If you don't know your breathing by now, I don't know what you're doing here. So you know your breathing, you're breathing, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to teach you something called talabia. Do you know what talabia is? I'll teach you that.
We do now.
We are going
After
to find out now. And don't tell anybody, okay? But tell everybody, right? Shh. And this will release a chemical in the front of your mouth, right? So we're going to activate something called the SOMA nadi. Yay!
SOMA nadi. Nice.
It is inside the front of the roof of your mouth where the teeth meet, where your tongue naturally rests when you're doing a mantra, that front part. So what I want you to do is you're going to push your tongue right up to the roof of your mouth, like creating a vacuum, right? And touching the roof, the front, the SOMA nadi. And I'm going to ask you to click it like this, look. Right? Now, but you're going to click it 30 times. You ready? So you're going to create a vacuum and then click the SOMA nadi and click your tongue out like Kali and almost like pulling your tongue down. In some of the yogic cults, they cut the tongue, the phalanx, so it comes out. The tongue just hangs down here, right? But we're not going to do that. We're not going to go crazy. We're not going to go crazy. I don't want you to cut your tongue. So push it up to the roof of your mouth and go. Keep doing it. And hear that click. Keep doing it. Now close your eyes and concentrate on the vibration on your third eye. Come on, keep going. You're going to get stoned just now. Okay, now push the tongue to the roof of your mouth, push it towards the SOMA nadi and taste the SOMA nadi. Taste that part. And if you're doing it right, you will start to get a kind of earthy, slightly earthy, maybe metallic, slightly earthy taste starting to come, right? Right in the front of your mouth. Now, what I want you to do is keep your tongue there and look at me. You're going to breathe in through your nose and go up the top of your head. Imagine the breath going up with the tongue there, all the way back your spine, down your spine, all the way to the Muladhara, to the Manipura, the navel. Bring it to the navel. And now I want you to breathe out from the navel back out and let it come over the top of your head, down your nose, to your tongue, and into your tongue, okay? Now I'm going to show you a little magic. So now if you click again 10 times, it's going to get sweeter. Let's do it. Now taste it again. What's it like? How is it, Niraj, for you?
Yeah, I had a masala chai, so I've got a very strong masala taste in my mouth. But yeah, I can see it.
So
How
this
about?
this releases a secretion at the front of the mouth, and if you do it a few more times and you do it every day, it's called the Rudra. This is the Rudra chemical that gives you healing. It heals your body. It heals you. It heals everything, right? So you release the Soma Nadi, and it links to your Manipura, your navel, and you're connecting the third eye down to the tongue through that navel right there. So that's one major nadi in this work. Yeah, it's good. You like
Wow.
it? You enjoyed it?
Yeah.
All right. Now, as you're doing it, I'll teach you one quick one more. I want you to put the tongue to the roof of the mouth, and suddenly you'll find that the roof of your mouth starts to get sweeter as well. And not masala chai sweet, a different sweet.
Yeah.
And I want you to push the middle of your roof of your mouth up with your tongue. And you will see that it begins to secrete a taste there also, a different taste, different from the front of your mouth. See the difference? It's slightly sweeter. It's slightly sweeter. Now I want you to roll the tongue back as far as you can to the uvula, you know, the little dangly bit, and open your mouth slightly and try and touch it if you can. And those who are really flexible with the tongue, you can push the tongue into the back cavity if you can. That's called Khechari. That is Khechari, okay? Pushing it right back. But push it just to the uvula is also semi-Khechari. Push it back there and go and breathe in with your mouth slightly open like this. And then I want you to hiss it out like a serpent, like a hiss, slowly. And you're going to do it really slowly. Now roll it back again and touch the uvula and breathe in slowly. And hiss it out. Again, roll it back. And hiss it out. And now, if you close your eyes with your pinky and you hold your head and you close your ears and you look up at your third eye, you will begin to see an object or something will begin to happen there. Keep your tongue back. And you'll begin to hear something. And gaze up into the dome of your head and imagine that you're in this wonderful dome full of beings and energies and light all up there. And push your tongue to the back of your mouth and hold it there. And you will begin to secrete a beautiful taste. And relax now, just relax. All right, come back down. So if you want to see the result of this, one of the ways is just to push your tongue in the back of the throat and taste it. See what it tastes like. Something else, isn't it? And all this chemistry going on inside your mouth. Just by 3 points of control of breath, right?
And has anyone measured what these things are that we're producing? The
So
secretions are.
I'm partnering with the University of Arizona. We're going to start looking at all this. We're going to do intros. We're going to do MRI. We're going to do all kinds of stuff to see what happens with this and with mantra, to see both. We're going to look at both. So there's a lab at the University of Arizona Center for Consciousness Studies called SEMA, where they're doing mindfulness studies as well. We're adding this study to it of mantra and of Khechri and Kriya, see what happens.
Very nice.
Look, this is ancient knowledge. It was in the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. It was revived by Yogananda and Babaji and all those people. It's a very old knowledge. It actually goes back even further to early Shaivism and shamanic work in the mountains, right? And this idea that one creates a portal. So when you covered your eyes, how many of you felt a visionary experience of seeing like a vortex or a hole or a pull, something pulling you? How did any of you, what did you see? Tell me, open it up. Let's open it up. What did people feel, when they saw it, Is it okay if they talk, everybody talks? I can't hear you.
Anyone want to give any feedback
Yes, hi.
right now?
Hello,
Hey,
Claudia.
Claudia.
Hi.
Claudia,
Yes.
hi.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Thank you for this. It's an amazing information. Yes, I usually see a circle in front of my head.
Good.
Purple. Sometimes I can see even an eye, a very
Good.
big eye.
Very
and
good.
a pyramid maybe also too.
What did you see today?
I see the circle, the purple circle is like a pulse, like a circle who's pulsing like a very powerful bright light.
Beautiful. So, if you want to experience this quickly, if you look at the sun early morning and gaze at it for 30 seconds or a minute, you will see the same purple and the same ring. And it's the pineal gland begins to overactivate. That's the main thing that's happening here. So we're working very strongly with the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, right? And we're looking at that. So the pineal gland is very correlated to the DMT. So this is what we know, right? And we believe that the pineal gland secretes hyperactive Ganesh DMT when you're ready. That's what it does, right? So we're working with that to look at it. And so what happens is that the blue or purple circle becomes a wobbly star, and then a star or a center yoni or an eye begins to come in the middle. This is a common experience. And then you are drawn into the yoni, into the vagina or into the eye. And when you're pulled in, it begins to form multiple colors, which are called the Shaktis. So you get the black and red of Kali, you get the orange of Lakshmi, of the golden light of Lakshmi. You then have in the middle a dark blue of the Kleem of Krishna and Radha making love. You then go deeper and you're into the star, and then you go to the yoni and you're into the star of Tripura Sundari. So there's a whole mythology of going into the star that you can map as you go, right? And trust me, Claudia, you're just beginning. Just go into the hole and jump in and see what happens.
Anyone else want to ask a question or give some feedback?
Yeah, Raja, hello, I'm Wilma.
Hey.
Hi there. Yeah, like Claudia, I was surprised that you said the same thing, because you always wonder if everyone sees the same or is seeing something different. And I saw the circle with two pillars. Does the color matter, that initial color that you see? Mine was like orange, and the two pillars on the side.
That depends. It really shows where in your spinal cord is more active, all right? So if you experience an orange, you are experiencing two shades of very heart-based opening and sometimes yoni-based opening. So it's a combination of sexual desire and heart opening that does that. And it can also bring about different states of power, right? So yellow, orange are very good for power and for attracting beautiful things to you, very good for that. So if you want something, make the wish now.
Now, yeah. So I like the sound of that. Thank you. I'll just go off screen for a moment.
All right. And if you need to go enjoy yourself, go do it. All right, go.
Thank you.
There's no shame amongst us here. It's all good.
Wilma has no shame. It's okay.
Where did you get that from, Niraj?
Just smack him next time you see him. That's all right.
Hey, Roger, give us the power.
Beautiful. I love it.
Thank you.
All right. Else? Keep going. Let's go. This is a great discussion. Okay,
Yes,
Erin.
So like Claudia said,
you're only spotlighting me on the video. Do you want to share the spotlight with everybody, or what do you want to do? It'll record anyway from the screen. Okay, go ahead. Okay. We can't hear you, Niraj. Yeah.
So like Claudia said, I often see a circle, either purple or green. And this time I had a completely different experience. It was, so if you imagine a triangle with a circle in it, it was like the circle was dark, but the two lower corners were glowing red. Wow. And then there was some light shooting up.
I've never had the triangle pointing like up or down? Was the triangle pointing up or down?
Up.
All right. So red upward is a strong masculine energy. All right. That means you have a tremendous amount of willpower emerging in you, right? That means you are a very forceful person. And this is going to happen more and more for you. So you actually need to balance it with a downward pointing triangle of some kind. And that will allow the alignment to occur in you, So that's not a bad thing. It means that you are tremendously powerful, and red gives you that power of Kali, right? But the upward pointing triangle in mythology is Shiva. And it's a kind of upward force of prana, of willpower. And downward pointing triangle is grace and magic coming into you. So you want to kind of bring the two together in some way. The circle is a good sign because it means that you can enter that into a deeper way. It's a beautiful thing. Look at all this magic you can learn about yourself. Isn't it nice? I think that one of the things, the reason, and I study scriptures and mythologies and all that, is not because I'm religious. It's because they're all manuals and they're guidebooks. So you got to look at them in that way. You got to look at the descriptions and see, well, like, for example, there's this wonderful book called the Shat Chakra Nirupana, right? Which is the manual for the 6 chakras that was written around the 15th, 16th century. It was translated by Arthur Avalon into a wonderful book, if you get a chance, in the 1920s, called The Serpent Fire. It's worth reading. It's called The Serpent Fire. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it anywhere. It's called The Serpent Fire. And that book describes the journey of the shaman of Kundalini as you go from the base Muladhara upwards, right? And each step they describe colors and sacred geometries and dakinis and yoginis that you're going to meet, right? And it is fantastic because it gives you a little guidebook. You're not going to go to Peru without a guidebook, right? And a shamanic guide somewhere. It's the same thing. Why would you go into Kundalini land without a guide? Why would you go there? And it's the same thing. So it's about the Kundalini and how you experience it at the different levels. And you get the upward pointing triangles, the downward pointing triangles, the fire, the red, the crimson, the yellows, the cloud bursts, the lightning strikes, all are described in this, So I teach that. So if everybody wants to ever do it with me, you're welcome to come and join sometime. All right? Cool.
Fantastic. Cheers. And what is like any precautions for people who want to go into this territory of Kundalini awakening? And is there any precautions, any bad things that can happen if you're not prepared?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, let's tell everybody what Kundalini really is. Kundalini is a living goddess. So how can a living goddess be bad? Right? It can be scary. It can fuck you up, but it's not going to be bad because she's waking you up, right? And I'm sorry I'm using bad language. Forgive me. I just, I'm from London. What can I do?
No, they're all used to it. Don't worry. They're all used to it.
All right. So the main thing is that you are in the Shaiva tradition of Kashmir Shaivism or Tantra. We describe that going from earth of Ganesh on the ground to heaven, or my true self, right? Ultimate reality, singularity, are 36 dimensional levels. We call them the 36 tattvas, right? And these are 36 elemental levels we go through. And the first 5 are the 5 chakras, are earth, water, fire, air, and akasha, space, right? So we go through the first 5, then we withdraw into the senses, then we withdraw deeper into the sense organs, then we go in and in and in until we get to the 35 levels, and then the 36 gate opened and we're through to the other side, right? Now, all yogis are vibrating at one of these 36 frequencies. They say, there's a saying in some of these yogic tantric cultures that if a yogi is above 14, he's not in this, or she's not in this world anymore. She's in a different dimension. She's an ethereal Babaji living in forever somewhere, you know, in your head, right? Somewhere all the time, right? So in this life, if I'm going to begin such a fantastic journey, I must begin at the earth. I must ground myself. I must do energy work to ground myself. I must become a worshiper of Ganesh. I must become the earth lover. I must chant earth mantras. I must tether myself to the earth before I can fly in Khechri in the sky, right? So all great Shakti practice starts with earth and goes to heaven. So you must ground yourself. Otherwise, you will get what is called prana kundalini, which is these erratic, orgasmic, psychedelic experiences of tumulus, you know, prana shifting around your spine or rushing up you, or third eye exploding, or, you know, orgasms, unstoppable orgasms. They happen. It happens. Yeah. And people don't know how to deal with them. So they freak out. And then they go into all this conversation about the great night of the soul and all that kind of stuff, but it's not. It's just a first, you know, it's like, the way they describe it in the Vigyan Bhaira Tantra in the tantric books is they say, it's like coming to the edge of your reality, right? Let's say you came to the edge of your reality. There are 2 experiences you will have. One is you will be terrified because everything you thought is about to fall apart, right? You're at the edge. You're going, oh my God, if I go over the edge, that's it, I'm dead. I'm going to die. I'm going to never come back. I'm going to go into deep neuroses. I'm going to go into madness, right? But then you take that step and nothing happens. You don't die. You're in another dimension. You just keep going and you keep going. But the second experience that comes with the person who comes to that threshold is curiosity. They come to it and they go, I wonder, if I went into that purple circle, will my head be cut off or not? You know? And that's what Claudia is really thinking. You know, like... So you want to, there's that, and that, so the gatekeeper of that moment has a beautiful name in Tantra. It's called Bhairav. Have you heard Bhairav? You know, the fierce, ferocious Nepali kind of monster, right? Bhairav is a form of Shiva that protects the 4 gates of your being. And they say in Indian tradition, like in Egyptian tradition, that the gatekeeper at the moment of death is Bhairav. So when you experience Bhairav, you're asking to die to be reborn. It's a kind of strange moment, you know? Isn't that nice? Nice idea, right? There's just one other thing I wanted to share with you, Niraj, which is that, sorry, I call you Niraj. Everybody says Niraj, right? I have to figure that one out. Niraj, beta.
You pronounce my name like my mom. You pronounce my name like my mom. So it's
yeah,
okay.
you're Niraj beta, like you're a sweet little boy. You know, like so the thing to remember is that if I get to every breath I take is a chance to wake up. That's the fundamental teaching of Tantra, right? And there are 2 sounds that I hear, hum and stir. If I hear if I listen carefully and I breathe in, now in most traditions, they'll say it's the other way. Breath in is so and hum is out. No, in Tantra, it's the opposite. Hum is the in breath coming in. Shiva coming into me and becoming every particle in me. And Sa is the release back into cosmos, you know. And that then becomes Hreem and Shreem. And that then becomes all the mantras. Aim, Hreem, Shreem. Those are the three key mantras that release the whole sacred body into you, you know. So there, that was the lesson for today. You're all done. You graduate now, off you go.
That's fantastic. But can we open it up to a few questions from the group?
Yeah, please. You know, I love hanging out. So any chance, you know.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, it's been super interesting and a lot of wealth of information and things you can take away. So who has a burning question that they want to ask to Raja today? Anyone want to ask a question? There we go. Claudia is super keen student.
I'm a curious student, okay?
Curious.
So yes. I just wonder if you are experiencing these techniques with an orgasm, for example, like if you're having an orgasm or not releasing orgasms, just like integrate orgasm in, right? And do maybe this tongue position to really help to go with the you know, the force of the Kundalini up. Is this something that you can practice?
That control applies to mostly men.
Okay.
That if at the moment of ejaculation, I stop the ejaculation and release the spasm, and I touch the tongue to the roof of the mouth and do Khechri, I can have a Kundalini awakening, right?
Okay.
That's why Kaula sexual trance is the high priestess used to sit on the man and have him almost ejaculate. At the moment of ejaculate, stop him, and he would have a Kundalini awakening, right? That's the whole secret. For a woman, you want the opposite. You want multiple orgasms.
Okay.
You want to let it just flow because you are naturally Kundalini awakened.
Mm.
You lucky things. Like, fuck you guys. Like, we got it. So,
okay.
So in a way, the more you flood this energy over and over again, the more the door opens for you to clarify.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering that because I'm working with the breathing with a lot of women here I'm in Chile in South America, and we have terrible culture, you know, that doesn't allow us to feel our sexuality,
repressed
right?
Sexuality.
So I'm just teaching this, and I'm having so much an amazing experiences with women, like they just release their orgasms and feel so good. So I just want to clarify that. That makes sense for me. So yeah, thank you for that.
In a sense, that's why the monastic cultures are so popular in India, because they teach them to control their ejaculation, right? But it leads to perversions and homosexuality and other things if you're not careful, right? And so, you know, we always have distortions of that sexual kaula. This is called kaula, this whole tradition. But I think that the word I want you to remember, and particularly for Claudia's question, is the word we're looking for is transmutation. That means I take one type of thing and convert it into gold. You know, I take lead in alchemy and I make it into gold. I take my lower base instincts of sexuality or whatever, and I convert it into higher gold, into opening the third eye, into whatever. So whatever happens down there can also be transmuted up here. You know, it's 3 above, 3 below, 1 in the middle. You know, that's how it works. You know, yeah.
Question I was going to ask is there any special like lifestyle things in terms of like food, diet that can help the grounding and awakening process, Kundalini, that you recommend?
Well, in Tantra, this is all Tantra, okay? Everything I'm talking about, right? And we have a saying that yoga is bhoga, right? Now, what that means, bhoga means to enjoy life completely, the sensory life, right? Food, sexuality, alcohol, the 5 M's, psychedelics, alcohol, sex, meat, fish. These are all considered to be tools for awakening in life, right? So the way a tantric sees it is slightly different. A yogic tantri sees it as that everything in life is not to be judged, but can be a tool for awakening, right? Now, if then that the body decides that it has awakened enough that it doesn't want to eat meat anymore, it'll stop. It'll not want meat anymore, right? But nobody has to tell me that it's my moral duty to do that. It's I decide through this awakening of what happens. So do I, I'm a London boy. I used to drink Guinness and all that kind of stuff. I used to smoke everything. I used to smoke 40 a day, Marlboros. I did it all. But after a while, you've taken it, you've done it, and it's gone. It doesn't have its power anymore on you, right? And the same is true for any desire in life. If you desire meat and you have a strict vegetarian diet, you think you're going to have good karma? You're not. Right? Because the desire is there. If you say I'm celibate and all you're thinking about is jumping somebody, what, you're going to have karma, good karma? Sorry, it's not going to happen, right? So a tantric says, face that desire head on and then enjoy it to a point where you let it go, So you must satisfy desire. It's no use coming to the end of life desiring that chocolate cake that you missed out when you were a kid. It's no use, right? You want to have it. So enjoy it. But then realize that it's just it's not essential. Nothing is essential, right? It's just nice to have something, If you meet somebody and you have this strong sexual chemistry, you think you're going to be able to passively meditate? All you're going to be thinking about is, oh my God, what am I going to do? Holy shit. You've lived out fantasies of 10,000 ways it's going to fulfill itself. We call it the sapna. So that's why in Tantra, they say that the 4th state of consciousness, Turiya, which is also in Vedanta, is after I see the world and I get all these sensory experiences, fine. After I dream all my fantasy experiences and remember all my past experiences, fine. After I calm down and go tranquil, fine. Then I have consciousness expansion, But I got to go through the 3 states, Jagrat, Sapna, Shushupti, to get to Turiya, right?
I love that answer. So, anyone else want to ask a question? I've got a bunch I can ask, but anyone else?
Please do. I'm open.
Yeah?
I'm open.
Well, let's talk about music. What's your kind of the music that you like, that you enjoy? Is there any specific type of ragas or music styles that you think resonates with you? Or
yeah, I mean, my first awakenings were with Stairway to Heaven and Natural Mystic, So I don't know no raga shaga shit, man. Then I met Calvin Singh and others in London, and I discovered what ragas were. I didn't know. I'm an ignoramus, I thought I can't do raga. And then I always liked ragas when they were in fusion with other things, So I love the kind of music play you guys are doing. It's pretty cool shit, I think that what we have to do is understand how frequencies, octaves, notes affect us, right? And then how to use them to awaken, right?
Yes.
And that's what ragas are. That's what solfege is. That's what everything is, I mean, whether you listen to St. John the Baptist's hymn or you listen to, Raga Bhairavi, you're going to enjoy awakening if the thinking behind it had that mystical bent to it. And then sometimes the song comes along that the guy didn't even know they were doing mystical things and he does it for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
for me, Bob Marley is as great a raga master as any Indian Bhairavi guy,
I like it. So any other questions? Anybody wants to ask something? Here we go.
I'm just thinking about the senses, like that you were talking about pleasure.
Claudia again? Claudia.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry.
You're hogging the mic.
I love to talk, and I'm really, I love this topic, like pleasure and all that stuff. Niraj know that. So talking about pleasure and senses, like we forgot to really have our senses awake. So when you really awake your senses, like if you're watching something beautiful, hearing beautiful music, eating something good, and then you have this beautiful person, if you're talking in couples, or you just feeling your senses, it's already now a different vibration.
Yes.
So the secret knowledge to remember always is that with all pleasure must come pain. You know, that love affair will end, that music will stop, body will age, things will go wrong, COVID will hit, something will happen, right? Just when you think everything is hunky-dory, something's going to come and kick your ass, right? So that's why we do the in-between state, the middle state, because I may love the taste of Marlboro or Navy cut in cigarette in India, but my desire for it is detached. I see it and I don't have to have it, right? But when I'm having it, I enjoy it. But when I don't have it, I'm not bound by it, right? And I think this must be true of every attachment in life. It's like, I'm not saying detach and pull away from everything. That's stupid, because then you're just suppressing it for later, right? And it'll explode into anger and violence and stupidity. But if you are able to transmute it, sublimate it, relax with it, enjoy it, then it becomes a power, a superpower for you, you know? Because then when bad things happen, you're still the same person, able to deal with whatever is coming. The same person who was having that erotic dance 5 minutes ago, you know? Oh, by the way, I mean, think about sex. You're having this experience and then it's over, right? Then you got to smell the person's breath, you know? Then you got to have, you know, pretend to have good coffee and tea with them in the morning, you know, and you know, you got to do all that bullshit, right? So, I mean, it's not that everything begins, peaks, and ends. Everything. And we must understand that. That's the Hermetic principle, right? I'm sorry, I'm being terrible.
No, I love it. That's very wise. So I think Erin had a question. Go for it.
Yeah. So we've been talking about a few times about the masculine and feminine coming back into balance and harmony. And I'm wondering if you can talk a bit about like your experience with that on your own journey, and if you know, if you had felt that out of balance and what it was like for you to receive and tune into the feminine, both within your journey and just within these practices. Like, what does that look like or feel like?
I always like to go back to something that Krishnamurti said. He said that I represent all of humanity. You know, I don't represent male, female, brown, Indian, English, American, you know. If I attach myself to any identity, I have already limited my life, right? There's a time when I wake up in the morning when I realize I'm a boy, when I stand to take a pee or whatever, you know. Do you think I think I'm a boy the moment I wake up? Oh, I'm a man, look at me. You know, I go, hallelujah, I'm a man. Oh, now I'll be a woman. Now I'm going to be Ardhanarishwara and transgender. I'm going to decide I'm changing, right? I'll put on the dress. Okay, now, identity is an attachment just like that wonderful sexual dance or that wonderful thing. It's something we create and hold on to, and we hold on to it in many ways, right? So understanding the sacred feminine is not about male or female. It is about awakening consciousness in every cell of your being as energy, as power, as this vibrant, alive being. And the dance between that being and my mind and consciousness and the universal consciousness, that is what we're talking about when we talk about the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. Now, ideally, you don't even want to call them that, right? Call them whatever you want. Shiva, Shakti, Yin, Yang, I don't care, right? Give them a name if you want, but that too limits, you know? So when you wake up in the morning and you are caught up with your identity, then you are limited yourself to universal expansion. That's the message I would like to share with you.
Very good. So one thing that we have to all encounter a lot on an everyday basis is bullshit and stress and negativity, right? What's your tips for staying in your center and your presence, moving into this crazy world that we're moving into in 2022 and beyond?
Well, I mean, all of you in your breath work have experienced a disembodied observer in yourselves, right? Would you agree with that?
Yes.
You've all found yourselves able to watch yourselves breathing, almost like disembodied. You're kind of watching yourself, right? Right.
Yeah.
And that disembodied watching is not judgmental. It's just there. It's almost like a lovely part of you watching you do what you're doing, you know, kind of maybe even guiding you or helping you or whatever it's doing, right? You know, now that disembodied observer self has been given many names: higher self, archangel, Devi, whatever, Shakti. You know, you can give it all the names you want, right? But there's a part of me that I can cultivate through my breath work, through my meditation, to observe myself all the time, right? And when I find myself straying into that polarity, into that, oh, I'm going to get mad now and I'm a Republican or I'm a Tory or I hate gay people or I do this. Okay, thank you, Matt. My dog is growling. Tories, I hate Tories. No. And I mean, the moment I get drawn into that polarity, you need to cultivate a part of yourself that's watching you go stupid, getting angry, getting mad, getting agitated, and remind you of that by pulling you, not pulling you back and saying, what the fuck are you doing? No. It's not like that. It's more like, hey, your heart rate just went up. Your breath just got faster. You're kind of getting agitated in the stomach. Oh God, we're developing cancer cells 30 years from now. Oh, look what happened to you just then. You're doing this to yourself, right? And that observer becomes your partner, and so what I've done in the last 23, 24 years is cultivated that observer. It doesn't always get it right. I get mad sometimes, I lose it sometimes, but the comeback now is so quick that it's kind of like you know that scene in The Matrix when Neo and Morpheus they freeze time and they're looking at the whole world and everybody's just frozen and they're standing there looking at the whole thing. It's like that. You kind of want to stop, observe, and say, oh, am I breathing? Am I agitated? Does that piss me off? You know, what's going on? What's going on? And when you start observing like that Gurdjieff used to call it self-sensing. It's kind of, you become aware of yourself in every minute of the day. And that's a beautiful place to go to. You know, I try and cultivate that all the time, right?
Okay, that's really useful stuff. Any last questions before we start to wrap this up? This has been fantastic. Jackie, usually Jackie's very chatty.
A new voice, yay! Yes. That took courage. Jackie. I'm proud of you. That took courage.
She's usually the one speaking the most, but now,
must be my personality.
Yeah, she's shy.
Yeah,
Shy
I don't know.
today she's shy. You made her giddy. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I was just thinking the little practice we did to make the sweetness come in the mouth, that I did not taste it today, but I was drinking carrot juice just before that, maybe part of it. But when I've done fasting, I have. And I have also heard from listening to other people's experiences that that's quite common in fasting.
Yeah.
And I remember it quite strongly, but I don't remember it coming, I don't know where it came from, but I always had the impression it was coming from under my tongue, but I'm not sure. So would that be the same thing or different, or do you know anything?
But there is some science to it about the release of ketonic kind of, when you fast, you're increasing the amount of ketonic kind of replacement of glucose in your brain, right? It's kind of like ketones are taking over. And by the way, carrot juice, well done. That's ketonic, and beta carotenes are all coming at you right now, and I think that there seems to be something to do with the pituitary gland just above the mouth. So it's not necessarily coming from the thymus and the thyroid, but it seems to be coming from the pituitary gland, right? So it's a midbrain secretion of sweetness. So you're kind of seeing it from coming into the mouth through the soma or the middle or the back. It's going to come in like that, in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I think fasting, what it does is that it tricks the brain into higher states of consciousness naturally,
Yep.
So one of the main reasons to do fasting, or intermittent fasting even, is to eat yourself. Isn't that a nice way of putting it? Eat yourself. Because you're eating all the crap and leaving only the beautiful higher shit to deal with, and that's cool.
Phagocytosis.
Exactly.
Very true.
And
Yes.
and so one has to eat oneself at some times in life,
I like that. Pop Will Eat Itself. Do you remember that band? I don't know if you remember that.
Which one?
There was a band called Pop Will Eat Itself back in
Pop
England.
will eat itself.
They were a brilliant band, real punk like band back in the day.
Yeah, I can see which years you grew up in.
Yeah. But you're right.
That means you're 10 years younger than me. That's what it means.
I am a little bit younger than you, probably. But yeah, so I really love that analogy, actually. You have to eat yourself when you're fasting is a way of
But I think that applies to everything, is that even anger, you got to eat it. Even your frustrations, your sexuality, you're always eating something, right? It's like, when you're taking in sensory, if you're binging on Netflix, you're eating, right? If you're listening to news all the time and getting only negative news, you're eating, right? So choosing what you eat and learning to eat only yourself inside is not a bad thing,
Very cool.
Then you can make rational decisions, because I think most people make decisions irrationally, whether to be vaccinated or not, whether to do medicines or not, whether to do this or not. Then it becomes a political issue. Should I take it in my body or not? Or is there a secret in this or not? So I think that when you are internally tuning, intelligence also increases. That's another thing, is that fasting has been shown to increase ability to concentrate in meditation, heightened states of concentration, And one of the ways you can do it without fasting is tratak, which is to light a candle or at the sunrise in the morning and just stare at it for a minute or two, and then close your eyes and look inside, and you will begin that sharpens the brain even more, And it curbs your appetite also. Sun gazing makes you not want to eat at all.
Very cool. All right. Beautiful. So almost an hour and a half. So
as you can tell, I'm, full of useless information.
No, I think it's been very useful, right? Is everyone enjoying it so far? Yeah. Amazing. Beautiful. Beautiful.
I wanted to say thank you so much, because we're always talking about like being a community, getting stronger, being together. And a lot of what you said about like eat yourself. Also, like when Niraj put that question to you about how do you deal with all the negativity out there and you get frustrated and angry, and you said to look at yourself. There's a lot of internal, internalizing yourself within yourself, not watching other people.
Exactly.
And learning from that, and I really like that you put that across, that because I think that makes us stronger when we're together,
Exactly.
Yeah, I love
you can
that.
only be stronger in a collective if the individuals in the collective are in that contemplative, reflective mode.
Yeah.
Otherwise they're not hearing and listening to the others in the collective. The one, there's, again, I'll go back and I'll finish with this, is that there's a beautiful line in the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra that says that you are only responsible for your own awakening. And when you awaken, you will awaken the whole world. And I think that's the beautiful way to look at it, is it's not selfishness to go work on yourself. You're doing it because when you do that, the whole world will benefit. Isn't that nice?
That's definitely what I took away from everything you just said. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's my message for the day. Work on yourself so you can heal the whole world.
Yeah, that's the definition of team. Making the perfect team is when each individual player is for themselves, but also for the team. And then you create the most harmonious team there. So yeah.
Yeah, because if you suppress ego, it's only going to come out in other bad ways. But if everybody has control and awareness of their own ego and their own journey and their own awakening, then when they come to the team, they're contributing in a beautiful way,
Fantastic.
But if it gets arrogant, then that's reflection has to occur. That's going back to what Wilma was saying, is that reflection, self-observation, that beautiful. I love it.
Love it. This has been very insightful, my friend.
Thank you.
So how do we, because we have a lot of very curious students here, how do they learn more? Do you do any kind of experiences? Can people go on vacation with you? Can they go and explore stuff?
I do have a beginner's course called the Kundalini Code that teaches the foundations of all this work. And you can just go to the kundalinicode.com and sign up, and I do have an academy, but that's for advanced seekers who want to study with me. The thing is that I'm more of a be your own guru kind of guy. So I don't like building systems and academies. I'm not, I love what you're doing, but that's not my cup of tea, cup of tea. All right. Cup of chai, my cup of chai. But I think that if you want to go deeper, there are two ways we can do it. One is, and this you and I will talk about in Niraj, is maybe we do something in partnership, right?
Yeah.
And
cool.
Because I teach out there a lot, and we can do something together, right? And maybe I do a special program for you guys that you can develop with this, right? And I'm happy to do that. Even come out to Ibiza maybe in the fall or in autumn and something, and do something.
Yeah.
And the other is that if you want to get the basic foundation of the Kaula Tantra and Shakti, Kundalini Shakti stuff I'm talking about, then you're welcome to do my foundational course, the Kundalini Code. And also in February, I'm doing a new course on the Shift Network called Opening Your Third Eye. And that's coming up, but that's heavy. That's 9 sessions of deep work. So that's coming up, but Kundalini Code, good way to foundation, but you and I will talk and maybe figure out something we do together.
That'd be beautiful. And I really recommend Raja's documentaries and talks on YouTube. So you have your own YouTube channel, right?
Yes, it is. It's called Raja Quest, and we've got 100,000 subscribers, so it's a good place. A lot of people like you, and we have a community also. And I have no idea all these insane people are, but it's wonderful. And they, and I put out videos at least 2-3 times a month, and on everything from Kaula to Gnosticism to Rosicrucianism to secret societies. I talk about everything. So
it's super fascinating.
And some of them have hundreds of thousands of views, and some of them are like 1,000. I love it. I love the, you know.
You never know, right? You never know what's going to pop.
You never know what's going to kick. You know, the number one video of the last year for me was on DMT and the third eye. That was my number one video. 400,000 views in 1 year, you know.
Wow. Well, I'm going to go and watch that now, actually.
That and my Kundalini video and the third eye video from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, are hundreds of thousands. So it's you can never tell, you know, what's going to vibrate and resonate, you know.
That's so cool. Wow.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Just when you think you're too clever, laugh at yourself, okay? Don't take yourself too seriously ever.
That's
you
right.
know?
That's right.
And then have an orgasm at the same time.
Laugh and orgasm. That's it. That's a great way to finish round this up.
While you're laughing, have the orgasm. All good.
Yeah. Beautiful. I think everyone's going to go off right now and have one. So beautiful.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Raja. You're the man. Thank you so much.
I'll just do a little tantric blessing for all of you to protect all of you, which is, I'll do it. Just follow me. Rub your thumb. Rub your first finger clean. Middle finger so. Then ring finger clean and so. Then little finger clean. And then rub your hands. This protects my hands and so I can do wonderful work in the world. And then my heart, forehead clean. Bindu, so. Protect me, so. Three eyes, clean. And then round my head and slap my hand. Yay, so and then we do the 4 directions: Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha, Om. And then round and slap it again. And then lock your fingers together and say, Dig Band.
Dig Band.
That means protect. This is now a protected family. We're all protected now.
I like it.
All right. Blessings, everybody. Bye-bye.
Cheers, brother.
Bye-bye.
Much love. Peace, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. You're all awesome. See you in the next training.